Arizona gets a game-changing commit, somebody that is going to be very, very impactful for the University of Arizona.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, Wildcat fans. This show is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Check it out, Monopoly Go. Download Monopoly Go free on the App Store and Google Play. Check it out. Okay, now we got a lot to get to this show. Very, very big day for the University of Arizona. Trey Townsend has committed to the UofA. This is obviously a very, very big deal for Arizona fans. Now, there's a lot of people that are probably not going to be super excited about that. They are called the spacers. The spacers are these people. They do not care if somebody is good or not. All they really care about is whether the player can shoot 1 or 2 threes per game. And from there on, they're like, okay, well, he's good. These are called the spacers. The spacers do not like Trey Townsend. I like Trey Townsend a great deal, and here's why I really like Trey Townsend, is that he can get his own buckets, and he has been able to get them at against some of the very best teams in the country. You look at it, and you can easily tell that he is able to, whether that was North Carolina State, where he dropped 31 and 13, whether it was Kentucky, whether he dropped 17 and 11, he was able to get his. Now, some of the spacers will be like, well, he wasn't efficient or he didn't shoot threes. I do not care, because Arizona in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years has fallen because of a lack of players that could get their own shot. Now, I get that Tommy Lloyd he runs a more open system. I get all of that. But the one thing about this team, though, is that they are, last year, Arizona had one dude that was really at the end of the game looking to make plays off the bounce, and that was Jaden Bradley. Everybody else was not looking to do anything. And, Caleb Love can do it, but Caleb Love many times decides to just shoot threes. That is an entirely different issue, which we will get to later. But this is but Townsend can get his against the best. And, some people say, well, he's not, the most efficient player in the world. That's also because you are at the University of Oakland, and you are not probably going against some of the you're going against teams that are going to be double teaming you. And again, when you are the conference player of the year, you are the best player on the team. That is something that you need to keep in mind. So the double teams that he saw regularly at the University of Oakland, he will probably not see at the University of Arizona. And again, I would be stunned if that really is the case. But this is somebody that Tommy Lloyd prioritized from day one, and he should have prioritized him from day one because he is good. And, as far as a comparison, there's a little bit of a really unathletic, crappy Charles Barkley in that, he's just he's around the ball. He can finish and trap. He can finish. He can back you down. He can, use the big button to back you down. He's able to do things like that. And that is obviously something that as an Arizona fan, you want to see, because Keyshawn Johnson, for as good as Keyshawn Johnson was not able to do anything like that. And that was obviously a problem not a problem, but Keyshawn could shoot the wide open three, but that did not lead to spacing, as many of the spacers incorrectly believe. So there is that with Townsend. But again, Townsend against the best teams in the country was able to get his. And, again, there were also games against Illinois. There were games against Xavier. There was a clip with Sean Miller where he said we had no capacity to be able to stop Trey Townsend from doing what he wanted to do. And, obviously there are a lot of people here that certainly respect Sean Miller and what he did. So, and again, you are the conference player of the year for a reason. He is very, very good. He is a much better option than Xavier Amos, in my opinion. I did not want Xavier Amos from Northern Illinois. That is somebody who, he got 14 points and 4 rebounds in a crappy conference, but he certainly wasn't able to do what Trey Townsend did. Now, Trey Townsend is not perfect. We obviously understand that. And a big part of the reason he's not perfect is that he is he's not a great defender, obviously. Now he's about 6'6", a little bit vertically challenged. So you got to obviously keep that in mind with him, but he's going to get a lot of rebounds. Now, last year, Oumar Ballo, leader of men, he has obviously moved on. What Arizona needs is somebody that is going to be able to gobble up those rebounds. Now, Mount Krivas is very big. Mount Krivas is very good. But you've also got to remember, too, that Mount Krivas is also going to be a little bit limited. He is very large, but he's not the big, all-consuming person that Oumar Ballo, leader of men, was. And so that is obviously something to keep in mind. Townsend, I think, is going to be able to get a lot of those Oumar Ballo, leader of men, rebounds. And I would not be surprised at all if he leads the team in rebounds next year. Now, later on, we are going to get to what some of those stats are, but he's a player that you've got to, I think you very much need to keep in mind about where is he at all times on the court. I'm very, very excited. I am very, very excited about that. So let's also talk about where some of the other things. He's also a pretty good player in that he can see plays, he can move plays around, he can do a lot of different things. He is a very good passer. We like very good passers here, and especially with Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd's system so much of the time is predicated on being able to pass the ball and being able to get open shots. That is a huge part of what Tommy Lloyd is, obviously what Tommy Lloyd likes to do. And I think that we're going to continue to see that with Townsend. He is like I said, he is just a very naturally just gifted basketball player, mentally upstairs, and I think he's going to fit in very well. Now, as far as points and rebounds, probably not going to be getting 17 and 8 here. Although it wouldn't surprise me if he, we'll get to that actually, but it wouldn't surprise me if he does fairly well. But he's also offensively, he's a much better player than Keyshawn Johnson. Now, defensively, yes, he is not the player that Keyshawn is, but Arizona, and I'm going to keep going back to this, Arizona is kind of at the stage where that come the NCAA tournament time, the problem that they've had has been being able to have guys that can get their own shots. Against Princeton, Arizona had absolutely nobody. Azuolas Tubelis pretty much froze up. We all saw that. It was not pretty to watch. And then you also, between that and Kirk Creason jacking up a bunch of threes, and then not Kylan Boswell, Pella Larson wasn't looking to really attack as well. You had a lot of players that were just not capable of getting theirs. Trey Townsend can get his. That is a big part of what Trey Townsend can do. I'm excited to see what he can do, and I think that everybody should be, because this is, again, Tommy Lloyd prioritized this kid in the portal for a reason. A big reason why is that Arizona is able to figure out where Tommy Lloyd has been able to take inventory. He's been able to take inventory each year about what his team needs, what they're able to do, and that's what they needed. Now, let's talk a little bit about what the expectations for next year are. But first, FanDuel. Check it out, FanDuel, ladies and gentlemen, FanDuel. All kinds of good stuff at FanDuel. All right, now I'm looking for it. Now, listen, let's say you want to bet on Arizona next year and you're like, man, I want to bet on the University of Arizona. FanDuel is here for you. FanDuel is for the people, by the people. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, the best thing to be able to do is to be able to bet on games where you know that your money is good. And that you can bet before games, you can bet props, you can bet all kinds of stuff. You can bet futures. FanDuel.com/lockedon has you covered. Check it out. Again, this is another one of those ones where you will thank me later, ladies and gentlemen. You will thank me later. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats, and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk points, rebounds, expectations for Trey Townsend. I believe Trey Townsend is probably going to be around 13-7, 13-8, something like that. I do believe that he's going to score more points than Keyshawn Johnson, and I believe he's going to get more rebounds. I also have another bold prediction. I believe that he is going to please the spacers. I think that he is going to take a couple three-point shots per game, a la Keyshawn Johnson, and he is going to make people very happy with that. But rebounding wise, I think he's going to lead the team in rebounding. He is, like I said, he's a big body, can do a lot of different things. I believe that he will lead the team in rebounding, and I believe that everybody should be very, very happy about that. Now, as far as points go, he and Krivas are going to be fascinating, because Krivas should be able to, let's just put it like this. He should be able to get the, I think he should be around 13-7 as well. He's got more offensive skills, obviously, than Umar Ballo, leader of men. Not as nearly as physical, but again, a lot to like about what Krivas can do. So you have him, you have Krivas and Trey Townsend. Now, this is certainly not a very athletic front line. That is for sure. Again, but you also got to remember this, and Doug Gottlieb says this, and I will always say this because this is a very good point, that there are no pros in the transfer portal. Yes, I get it that there are some pros from here from time to time. I get that. But at the end of the day, I also think that it's fair to say that by and large, that's not really the case. So that's where we're kind of at. But I will say this with Trey Townsend, I think a big part of this is going to be from where his passing is going to be huge. I think he's going to be one of the best passers on the team. And not only do I think he's going to be one of the best passers on the team, I think he's going to average 3 to 4. I think he's going to average 4+ assists per game. And not only that, I also think that he is going to become a crowd favorite very, very quickly, because he plays hard and he's a really good passer. People like that. People like seeing the people that play hard and they're good passers. That's exactly what Trey Townsend is going to bring to the table. Now, and like I said, so I think you're going to be looking at something like 13.7 rebounds. I'm going to say 4.5 assists per game. Now, I think what would be very, very nice would be to get Tobe Awaka in here as well. If Arizona can get Tobe Awaka in, I think that you feel very good about things, because he's kind of that athletic floor guy, or that, who can play the small ball 5. He can also play the 4. He's certainly a much better athlete than Krivas or Townsend. And defensively, I think he's going to be able to help as well. Very excited about what he could possibly bring. And I think that could be your front court between Awaka, Trey Townsend, and Mount Krivas. There's a lot, you've got between those two positions, you got 80 minutes to go around to 3 players. And I think that, you can probably spin it as, everybody's getting 20 plus. Now, a lot of people will say, what about Henry or whatever the case may be. I'll believe it when I see it with Henry. I would love to be wrong on Henry. I would love to be a my bad Henry moment, but I just don't know that Henry necessarily wants it as badly as you need to want it in college basketball. And I also just don't know that basketball necessarily comes naturally to Henry. But Tommy Lloyd is a big fan of Henry Vasar. This goes without saying. He is a big fan of him, and he has pushed Henry Vasar many, 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 many times. And in all fairness to Henry, there are some things to like about him. He can block shots. He can run the court pretty well. And he's a good kid. We got to keep him out of golf carts with Philly B, but Philly B has moved on. So there is certainly that. But I think that Tobe Awaka would be my next candidate. And not only would he be my next candidate, I also think that you're looking then at a front court where hopefully you get KJ Lewis back. That helps out a little bit as far as the athleticism factor goes, because KJ Lewis is obviously a very rugged, good athlete. And he's just a player that is easy, that I think it's going to be very easy for, to mold in there. A lot of people are going to wonder about the shooting. I get all of that. I do not care about the shooting because I have seen the shooting in the NCAA tournament falter where Arizona didn't have anybody else to be able to do anything. Arizona needs players that can do things besides just shoot or be fake shooters. So KJ Lewis, I think that he will help out a great deal at that small forward spot. And Carter Bryant. We cannot forget about Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant is going to probably have that KJ Lewis type role that KJ Lewis had this year, where he's probably going to play, 12 to 16 minutes per game, something like that. You watch Carter and you know immediately that he is able to make, the basketball comes very natural to Carter. And the one thing about Carter is that he also has to be able to just kind of slow the game down but also remain very, very focused in what he is doing. We've seen it before where Carter absolutely annihilates it and then he just kind of disappears. That's very, very normal for a freshman in college basketball. It's also something that, to be able to really reach his apex, he's got to be able to figure out. And I think this coaching staff will do a very, very good job of doing that. Carter Bryant will obviously get minutes up front as well. But that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of where we're at with this Arizona team in the front court. Again, Carter Bryant, can't really forget about him, and we can't really forget about him. And you got to be able to talk about kind of the starting five, which we're going to get to now. I love this starting five. I think this is a top 10 starting five in the entire country. So you've got up front, you've got obviously Mount Krivas, Trey Townsend, and then ideally KJ Lewis. And then obviously Carter Bryant, hopefully Tobe Awaka off the bench. Then at the guard spots, you have hopefully Caleb Love. I love Caleb Love. I want Caleb Love back. I know there's some dweebs that don't want him back. They are wrong. Caleb Love was one of the 10 best players in college basketball last year. You get somebody like Caleb Love and you hold on to him. We want him back. I don't believe that he's probably ever an NBA player, and I am more than okay with that. But also Jaden Bradley, my friends. I think Jaden Bradley is going to be very, very good for Arizona. I could even see Jaden Bradley being our Arizona's second best player. Then Caleb Love, if he comes back, is obviously going to be Arizona's second best player. But I also think that he is also going to be the dude who is able to. Let's just be honest here. I think that Jaden Bradley is going to take that next step, and I think a lot of people are actually sleeping on Jaden Bradley. So we will certainly talk about that more in the coming weeks. But first, then Monopoly Go, my friends. All right, Monopoly Go. Here's the deal with Monopoly Go. Everybody has played Monopoly in the past. It is fun. It is immersive. It is a good experience. Download Monopoly Go free on the App Store and Google Play. Check it out. Again, everybody likes Monopoly. It's one of those things where it's impossibly fun and impossibly frustrating at the exact same time. Now, check it out. Download Monopoly Go free on the App Store and Google Play. You can have a great, great time with it. And not only a great time with it, you can also get your friends in it because it is a social experience. Check it out. Now, another thing that is a social experience is Gametime. Gametime, my friends. Download the Gametime app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. This is a great, great, great opportunity for you because, listen, if you're into Arizona basketball, great. Gametime's probably got you covered. If you're into football, Gametime's also got you covered. If you're into concerts, Gametime's got you covered. All kinds of really good stuff. Gametime. Check it out. Download the Gametime app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. $20 off. And again, it's not just sports. It is all kinds of stuff. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk now about top 10. I believe Arizona is going to be a top 10 team next year. Now, Kansas, I believe, is going to be easily the best team in the country. I think that I don't even think that it's going to be close. I mean, you got Hunter Dickinson, you've got KJ Adams, you got the top 10 big man coming in. You've also got Mayo. You've got AJ Storr. You got DeJuan Harris. It is a loaded team. Baylor is going to be loaded as well. But Arizona is going to be in the discussion. Arizona now is going to have multiple players that can get theirs off the bounce. I am excited to see this. Caleb Love, when he is not settling for just threes, can get plays off the bounce. He is very, very good. When he does that, I am hoping that Tommy Lloyd tells him we need to do more of this, not less of this. Jaden Bradley, same thing. Need him to be able to make plays off the bounce, and we know that he can do that. This is a player that's lived in the lane. KJ Lewis, kind of the same thing. Townsend, though. Townsend is going to be able to do that, and I think it's going to be a refresher. Now, defensively, you're going to have some questions about this Arizona team. No doubt about it. It's not going to be all peaches and cream or whatever that term is. It's not going to be all that. I get it. But Arizona is still going to have an offensive roster that when things break down, when things bog down, they will be able to have players that can get their own shot. Townsend is a big part of that. I am incredibly happy that Arizona decided to go after Trey Townsend because that also shows me, too, that Tommy Lloyd, again, takes pretty good inventory of everything that's going on. He's not one of these pie-in-the-sky guys. Now, again, not really letting Kylan Boswell do whatever he wants was kind of annoying. But by and large, Tommy Lloyd gets it. And he knew what he needed in this roster. I think the next step would be to get a Tobe Awaka. If you get Tobe Awaka, then I think you feel very, very good about where you are going into next season. But overall, great day for the University of Arizona. A great day. Now, tomorrow, we are going to talk about KJ Lewis. I am not a fan of him testing the NBA waters. Now, he's likely going to come back. He also tweeted out already about Trey Townsend. I get all that. But I'm also not a fan of somebody who clearly has an NBA future testing the waters because it just takes one team to say, hey, buddy, you're a first-round pick. We've seen this before with Dalen Terry. We do not want to see any more of that. I am selfish on this, and I also believe that if KJ Lewis came back for a second year, I think that he would be a lottery pick the following year. He is, like I said, he's that dude. He is that good. And then, so again, that's going to be the next big step for Arizona. Can you get Tobe Awaka? You're also going to be looking for a backup point guard, obviously. And then you got to get KJ Lewis and Caleb Love back. If you get them back, then it is all systems go, my friend. All systems go. So we will talk a lot about that. But just an awesome day. Arizona basketball, top 10 team. Fear not, my friends. Fear not. This is a coaching staff that knows what they're doing. They are going to figure all of this out. But on that note, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. Sorry we were up a little bit later today, so sorry if it wasn't your first watch. But we will be back with you tomorrow as always. So bear down, back the A. Thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.